And welcome back to the MMA Plug presented to you by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM Mile High Sports Radio. I'm Jordan Kurtz, sitting here alongside a very special guest brought to you by the MyFit Foods of Denver hotline. Eat fit, live fit, give a fit. We have the number 4 ranked UFC flyweight in the world. He is back in action this coming week. We have the one, the only, the great and powerful Alex Perez. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. That was one freaking heck of an intro right there.
I got to get you feeling good, right?
I got to hire you for my entrance, man.
Hey, I mean, I am available. I'm just going to throw that one out there, my man. So why don't we just dive right into the thick of things here, Alex? So you've got a big fight coming up. You've been away from a little bit. You've had a little bit of an injury setback, but what does it mean to you to come back and to close out the year on a strong note?
Man, it means everything. I get paid to fight. I don't get paid to sit on the sidelines, sit on my couch and watch football. So it means everything. Obviously I have a son now, so it also helps with that, trying to make a good life for him and myself and my family.
Yeah, totally. So speaking of that, obviously Noah hasn't been around for the large portion of your fight career. So now that you do have you do have him to look out for, is that just an added sense of motivation that just gets topped on top of everything? Because I mean, I know just from being around you, like I know how much that kid just pulls at your heart, like how attached that you are and how much you love your son. So how much does that just help get you through the tough times of training?
It definitely does help, but I mean, for me, the motivation is like the other guys trying to whip my ass, he's trying to kill me.
Fair point.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm like thinking about it, like, man, like when I win this fight, that's more time I get to spare on my son. So that obviously adds an extra motivation. You win your fight, you get double your checks, and more time to hang out with my son and take him out, show him things. So I mean, he adds extra motivation, but not like everybody's like, oh, I'm doing this just for him. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it for him, but I'm also doing it for myself so the guy doesn't kill me.
Yeah, no, totally understandable there. So talking the matchup itself, you're going up against Matt Schnell, a guy who definitely has some dangerous threats that he poses when it comes to the fight game, but he's also looking to kind of get himself on the bounce back. What do you see as your biggest advantage as you take to the cage against Matt Schnell?
I think just my grit, man. Everybody thinks I'm from Orange County because I train in Irvine, but I'm from Central California. It's a lot different than what it is in Orange County. My grit definitely, I think, is my biggest advantage. I'm a grinder. I'm not scared of a dogfight.
Stylistically, without getting too deep into game plan or anything along those lines, what is where do you see yourself having, I know obviously you said grit, but in terms of the X's and O's of the game plan, if you will, what do you see as your key to victory, or something that at least is a focus, if you will?
Man, honestly, I think it's just the biggest key to victory is being myself, going out there and doing me. You know what I mean? There's no, like, he's good everywhere. He's good on the ground. He's good on the feet. I mean, look at some of the fights he's had. He's had some good submissions. One over my teammate, Louis Samoka, and then he has against Jordan Espinoza, another submission. He has a great ground game. He's good on his feet. I mean, he outpointed Tyson. You know what I mean? People, you can have the best camp of your life and not be on that night. I'm taking it wasn't on that night. That shit happens. It happens to everybody. So I feel like it's a great matchup. I just got to go out there and be myself.
So now, speaking of coming off of that title shot, how much does that experience and going through all the extra things that you had to go through, from fight week to the bright lights, if you will, how much does that experience help you now coming into every fight going forward?
I just think it helps deal with. I mean, thank God I do like crazy amount of media, but it helps with the media for sure. All the pressure, like the cameras being in front of my face. It helps with that. I think the fight game's still the same. He's gonna be mentally ready. I'm mentally prepared. This is just what we do. This is why we do it. I think the biggest advantage of that title fight was learning how to deal with a little bit more on my plate with media and stuff.
That's fair. A lot of the extra, I guess, all the outside noise that kind of goes into it once you get to, that top contender level. Speaking of that, what can provided once everything goes your way in on Saturday, what is next? What are the big plans? What are your goals for 2022?
My goal for 2022 is honestly just be active. This is the first time in a long time. Well, probably the first time ever in my career that I've had a whole year off. Usually I'm a grinder and I like to take, you know, 3 fights a year, 4 fights a year. My first year with Zufa, I did 5 contenders and 4 in the UFC. Um, that's what I like to do. I like to stay busy. So my goal is that, and I feel like all the big plans, everything just gonna come fall into place. Kind of going back to the mindset, just keep winning, and they can't deny you a title shot. I know I got some making up to do uh, for time, and also coming off a loss the way I did. You know, wasn't exciting. Was like, oh, this guy's gonna be the barn burner. This guy's this. So I'm just gonna go back to work, get back to the grind, and eventually I'll get my title shot again.
So you mentioned being a grinder who takes a lot of fights, typically, 3, 4 plus fights a year. You have 30 fights professionally to your credit or to your record. How does that experience alone, you mentioned earlier that the fight game is the fight game, but that experience obviously has to help you as you continue to get yourself back or try to get back to that title shot. Though, is there a lot of things that I guess not to say that you haven't seen, but are there is it, I guess I kind of relate it to once you get to that veteran status and almost any other sport that we see out there. You mentioned football at one point. Somebody like a Tom Brady, part of why he's so successful is because he's been around for so long, and the mental acuity of the game is he's seen all of these different looks, or he's seen so many different threats that may be brought to him game plan wise or stylistically. So because he has that experience, he knows how to then counter or how to defend and use those things to his advantage. Do you think that that's something that's starting to help you?
Yeah, but I mean, like Doing Robin, I have 30 fights, been in a lot of different positions, situations and stuff like that. But this game is changing every day. I mean, from the time I started in 2010, it was like, okay, you're good, just being so good at one thing. Then it kind of evolves. It's evolving every time. I mean, from that time to Anderson Silva's front kick to the face. I mean, after that, everybody was shooting it. Everybody's doing the Carlos Condit sidekick where he caught GSP. So I just feel like it does help, but at the same time too, you can't just rely on that. The game's changing every single day. Someone's coming up with something new, something tricky, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to have that experience, but I feel like the game's changing, so you can't really rely on it.
Definitely, which brings me to another point. A lot of that evolution comes with just so many different people in the fold with training and guys, from some of those yesteryear eras that you mentioned, there weren't always full-time fighters. Those were guys that, were camp to camp versus somebody like yourself who is you're never really not truly in camp. You're training all the time. So, as far as who's been helping you train or who's been helping you get prepared over this last year as as you're getting ready to get back into the cage.
Obviously, I'm a Team Oyama. Obviously, I got Ricky Simone, Louis Samoka, Saeed. I also got my boy Yuma in there helping me. Corey Beasley, I've been with him for like 7, 8 years now. My strength conditioning coach. Givo Santana, the arm collector. Been with him for a while. I usually go down to Factory X, get a couple weeks in out there with you with Factory X. This time I wasn't able to do it just financially. I gotta be a little bit smart with my money now. Can't be like I was before. Um, yeah, same team. Just because I lost, like people was, oh, you should change it. Like, why? I had a bad fight. I lost. The guy was better than me the one night. I see too many guys lose and then change their whole camp, blame someone else. At the end of the day, your coaches get you ready the best they can. They're there. If they're there every day putting in the grind with you, then they do it. So for me, it was just get back to your drawing board. I made a mistake and it is what it is. Kind of move on.
Definitely. That's one thing that I've always respected about you, and even just our conversations that we've had is just the accountability and the ownership. Like you've always been someone who just has spoken to like you get out what you put in sort of situation. You know, nobody's entitled to anything. Nobody is going to give you anything. You've got to go out there. You've got to put the work in. You've got to earn it. And if you
Yeah,
don't, then you've got to own that failure too.
yeah. I mean, sometimes, like I said, I did everything right. My weight was on point, for the last fight, but sometimes, it just wasn't good enough, and that's gonna happen. Same whether it's in sports or in life. I mean, I've seen people work their tail off to get a promotion, and the guy next to him gets it. And he does have to work. It is what it is. It's part of life. So, to blame someone else for something is kind of like pointless. Uh, it's all on me, and I mean, it is what it is. Back to the drawing board.
Certainly. And as we wrap up our conversation here, folks, with the number 4 UFC flyweight, Alex Perez. Alex, what in 2 sentences or less can your fans and friends, family, anybody out there watching you who tunes in expect to see once you enter the octagon this next Saturday?
They can see me go out there and look for the finish, man. I'm always trying to finish a fight, whether it goes 15 minutes or not. I'm gonna go out there 100% and get that victory.
Certainly. And then as we wrap this up, is there anything that you want to shout out, any projects that you're working on, anything that you want to give some mention to?
First, I just want to thank you for having me on, and two, just thank you to everybody that's been helping me over this last year, from my mindset coach, my nutritionist, my teammates, my coaches, and even my team. I came down to Vegas, trained a few times, so even the guys who welcomed me, I really appreciate that. All my sponsors, Miss Mary Jane CBD, coming out with Perez pre-rolls pretty soon. At the beginning of the year should be coming out. So
I need my samples.
I got you. Miss Mary Jane, Drink HRW, ATTC, All Things to Christ, the Alacron family. Thank you guys for being massive supporters. Private label, and everybody that's helped me. Also Vanguard Wrestling, a big part of my comeback was working with them. So Vanguard Wrestling, if you guys are interested, hit up Coach Caleb. Great guy. Actually coached against me in the junior college state finals. Great coach. He's a good guy, so check him out.
Alex, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know you don't do a whole ton of media, so we are blessed to have the opportunity to have you here with us on the MMA Plug. Folks, stick around after the break. We're going to be talking more combat sports. This is the MMA Plug presented to you by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio.
I threw my hands in the sky, bound to get closer to God.